the historic protests that we're seeing at the heart of the national capital, at Vijay Chowk, at Raisina Hill and at India Gate, the VIP zone of Delhi, the power centers where every single decision that affects this country is taken. Never before has an administration faced such a spontaneous and huge turnout of people into Vijay Chowk, to Raisina Hill, right at the gates of the presidential palace, Rashtrapati Bhavan. They want answers, they want the government to engage, and let's just go ahead and tell you that in the many hours since this morning that we've seen these thousands of people here, tear gas shells have been fired at them, lathi charges have been rained on them, water cannons have been used to push them back. But as you can see in these pictures, they're not leaving. They're right there, rooted to the ground, determined to remain there until they get some answers from the government. But until now, in the many hours since this protest began, not a single official from this government has arrived on the scene to actually speak to these young and angry Indians who are there in their thousands to show solidarity with the Delhi gang rape survivor and to ask for answers. I want to go across live now to Headlines Today's Ruchika Tomar as part of this special broadcast, and she's going to take us through what's happening there at India Gate, what's happening there at Central Delhi. We also have Kartikeya Sharma, who's joining us from Vijay Chowk. And remember, even though you're seeing these thousands of people here at Delhi, this isn't by any means a Delhi-centric story. We've got Pratibha Raman live with us from Bangalore as well to get us a perspective from that city that has seen protests in its own right. Now it's over to Ruchika.
Thank you, Shiv. Well, our leaders may not have their hands on the pulse of the people. They may be absolutely clueless as to how to deal with it. Though it's very simple, reaching out to the people who've hit the streets. They've, in a way, breached Lutyens' Delhi today. The scenes, like you mentioned earlier, we've never witnessed before. The sort of clampdown that we saw from the forces, from Delhi police, which of course is working at the behest of the Home Ministry, the orders that they're getting are straight from the Home Ministry, yet to hear from the Home Minister, yet to hear from the UPA chairperson, from the Prime Minister, from Sheila Dikshit, directly addressing the people who are completely incensed, absolutely infuriated by the apathy that the system has shown over the years, over the decades, and that they continue to show even today. Let me waste no time in going across to people who've been camping here through the day, and they are pledging that they're going to stay put unless somebody from the government actually comes and addresses their concerns. Let me go across to somebody who's been here since morning and has been collecting suggestions as to how to make our cities and towns and villages safe for women. Tell us, you've been carrying this box around and you have you've been asking people to speak up. What is it that you're doing here?
See, देखिए दिल्ली में जो गैंग रेप हुआ है जिसने पूरे देश को हिला दिया है और जिसके कारण लोगों में इतना गुस्सा है, साथ में सवाल भी है कि इस गुस्से का होगा क्या और लॉन्ग टर्म में सोल्यूशन क्या निकलेगा, क्योंकि ये पहली बार नहीं हुआ है और हम नहीं चाहते कि आगे भी होता रहे। उसके लिए आपको शॉर्ट टर्म सोल्यूशंस भी सोचने पड़ेंगे और लॉन्ग टर्म सोल्यूशंस भी सोचने होंगे, क्योंकि इट्स नॉट अ प्योरली लॉ एंड ऑर्डर प्रॉब्लम। इट्स नॉट दैट यू कैन पुट पुलिस ऑन एवरी कॉर्नर. It is also a social problem. It is also an economic problem. It's a question of inculcating human values. It's a question of inclusive socio-economic growth. So what we tried to do today is collect suggestions on how do we make Delhi safer, right? And roughly 2,000 people, we have their responses in this box. Roughly 2,000 people have given their suggestions. We are going to collate it, and then selectively we are going to give it to me. We will be.
All right, we'll get back to those pictures in just a moment. There's a bit of a technical problem there with the video feed that we're getting live from Ruchika Tomar, our correspondent, right there at India Gate. But let me try and go across. Okay, we've got Ruchika back. Ruchika, continue.
Shiva, are you talking to me? Yes, I can hear you very well.
Yes, Ruchika, continue. Sorry, there was a small break in the video, but now we've got you back. Please continue.
That's totally understandable. And Shiv, like this person here was talking about, there can't be quick fix solutions. There are a lot of people who are actually talking about that how there is outrage, but nobody knows what to do. So we are meeting people. We are actually coming across people who are trying to put together a solution if only the government is willing to listen. We haven't heard from them, but let's hear it from the people who've gathered here since morning. There are a couple of other suggestions that they're making. It's not just a women's issue. It's not just about women, that they should hit the streets and talk to people or raise awareness about the issue. What is it that you want to say? Why have you come here? What brings you here?
Well, there is a need to change in a law for the police, because if in case the MPs are handling the police, it's not going to solve the solution for the people, because police is for the people, not for the MLAs and MPs. It's just that we need to change things, and that's the reason I'm here. One. Two, there is a point that I'm making here is we need to change the law for the rape cases, for the victimization of women. One. Two, the law that needs to be changed is for the castration that I request.
All right. All right, so you have some suggestions there. Obviously, each time there is talk about how to deal with such cases, there is also talk about that there is an active and urgent need to change the laws, to bring out the amendment. We know that there's a bill that's been pending, many even calling for a special session of parliament. No political party, in fact, has paid heed to that suggestion. Will they actually sit down, work these extra days in a special session of parliament and pass the criminal amendment bill, which will bring out a change in the Indian Penal Code, and we could make it a capital punishment, as many have been demanding. But it is, of course, beyond law. It is, of course, beyond bringing out more legislations. It's also about a societal change. A lot of people here, in fact, if I can ask my camera person to show some of the placards that people are carrying here, they genuinely talk about that they're talking, they're in fact focusing on the societal change that needs to be brought about. It doesn't just talk about the things that the government needs to do. It also talks about how people need to change their attitude, which has been ingrained in us, and it's a societal problem at large, which many, in fact, are speaking about. Here I have another person who'd probably want to talk about that.
Yeah, you just mentioned about societal change. So that is what we are trying to do with this Speak Up campaign. From Zammers.com, we are trying to build a public opinion so that we want to capture what people actually feel and are they behaving in that way, and that message will be given to media houses, that message will be given to our diplomats and politics people. It would also be given amongst people so that they can discuss and share those messages and know that they have talked about those things, and that is given a right voice and platform.
All right. So several such organizations, groups, people who've actually come together in groups, they're just trying to bring attention to some of these issues that need urgent attention. We have another lady here. There is, of course, talk about how this is an emotive issue for a lot of young Indians. The people that you see gathered here, a lot of them are young people. None of the young leaders have actually addressed this issue. We haven't seen any of the young politicians that we talk about come out and speak about it. Are you feeling let down?
They have not come up. They have not spoken at all. We are expecting at least Sheila Dikshit to come up and say that she is feeling sympathy. She's empathizing with us, but she's not.
Right.
We are trying here to channelize people towards not just shouting aloud.
So clearly, Shiv, people are speaking, but will their political leaders, will the political masses actually listen? That's the big question.
Well, that's a huge challenge, apart from actually having a voice to actually get there. Imagine all these young people who are standing with Ruchika and all our reporters, standing there for hours together, venting all this anger, and then nobody coming out and actually, holding their hand, telling them, we understand your anger, we will do something about it. A small word, a small gesture from the political class could make such a difference to this protest. That's the sense that we're getting. But I want to go across to Kartikeya Sharma, who's at Vijay Chowk as well. Kartikeya, have you ever seen Vijay Chowk like this?
Not at all, Shiv. I'm completely overwhelmed by the audacity of the students to actually chonk Raisina Hills, take it in their possession, because this is not the heart of nation. This is heart of the state. And this is not a motivated crowd. My 15 years of journalism, Shiv, I have seen crowds which political parties organize. You spend money, you get lakhs and thousands of people. So number is not important here. It's the spontaneity of the students and kids who have assembled here that is important.
Good point.
And it's not about political motivation, Shiv. It's about solidarity. It's about empathy. It's about grief. It's about hurt. It's about anger. It's about sense of shame, which I as a Delhiite also feel that a life of a woman has fallen apart because of few people and lack of law and order in Delhi. and that's what overwhelms me as a journalist and a citizen when I speak to you. And it's really not about the fact that whether I can see 3,000 people here, whether I can see 4,000 people here, whether it's 7,000 people here. It's irrelevant, because this is not a political march.
Yes.
It's not organized by any political party. It's about the spontaneity of the student. And if you have to say that what's more relevant, and I think the UPA should need to wake up and smell the coffee, because this is about the anger of the middle class, and to understand that it has become a political constituency, because it was this middle class which voted them into power when Manmohan Singh was ridiculed by none other than L.K. Advani.
Yes.
They got 206 seats. So probably what I feel as a citizen and a journalist is that the government has not exchanged a word with them. There has to be a correspondence. There has to be a conversation with people. This is about government talking to its people, state exchanging words with its subject. My colleague Ankit Tyagi has been reporting since morning here. Ankit, what did you see when you came here for the first time?
You know, it's overwhelming to see so many young people coming out. Everybody writes them off as the Twitter, Facebook generation who campaigns on the social media. But they actually this time came out on the street. And every time the police is trying to push them off, they have used batons, they have used tear gas, water cannon has been used. They come back. And with these young people, this strategy won't work. You, as hard as you can come on them, they will come back at you. These are young people, 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old young students from across the city, across the country. In fact, the government and the police will have to rethink. Somebody will have to come and speak to them, calm them, at least give them an assurance that whatever they are doing, with the energy that they have put into it, they will channelize it and something will change on the ground.
And Shiv, I also do not agree with the cynicism which is shared by political parties that these people, or the lot which has gathered here at the Raisina Hill, is apolitical, so will not yield them any political dividends when it comes to assembly elections. Because the point is that this is about a protest pertaining to a woman who was gang raped in a moving bus, and that has to be acknowledged by the state by exchange of words and dialogues. That is primary. Everything is secondary.
Karthikeya, you know, just to get some information about what's really happening as far as the government is concerned, we understand that the Home Minister has met the Prime Minister a short while ago. L.K. Advani phoned the Home Minister to tell him to get the police not to, you know, crack down in a violent way against these students. What are you hearing from within the government, within the political parties, about whether anybody plans to come out and actually speak to these people? Because it's 4:15 in the afternoon, the entire day lies ahead. Those people could be there indefinitely.
Two things have happened. I think one thing which has really sunk in the heart of the UPA is that you cannot behave like a toughie with these students. These are kids here. You have underage children standing here. So you cannot behave like a tough cop here. You cannot repeat what happened in Ramlila, because this will have repercussions.
Good point.
Secondly, police have been saying continuously that yes, you will be allowed to continue with your protest, but do maintain the peace. But the point is here that I have not seen, Ankit, a single person from the Youth Congress or ABVP. Where are the leaders of the frontal organization? This is a political constituency. We have a sitting MP, and I expected that someone should have come here and at least talk to these students. Maybe they belong to AISA, they belong to JNU. But the point is, you need to speak to them. This is not Egypt and a Tahrir Square. The point is well taken. But then there is anger on the streets of Delhi. Anger which is being felt in the heart of the state. And that has to be acknowledged. And these students are more angry because they are not being acknowledged. And democracy is all about being acknowledged.
Karthikeya, thanks for getting us that very impassioned sense of what's happening right there. Believe me when I tell our viewers that in a situation like this one, it is impossible to deny the kind of passions, the kind of emotions that one feels when you're reporting from such anger, such frustration among thousands of people right there at Vijay Chowk. Karthikeya is one of our most experienced editors, and in his 15 years of political journalism, he has never seen Vijay Chowk the way it is right now. These pictures that are coming to you from there, it is a sanitized zone, it is a VIP zone, it is one of the most picturesque zones in the capital, perhaps in the entire country. It has been completely overrun right now by angry protesters who want to take the power back. They want sincere assurances from the government. They want some honesty, they want some integrity. They want to remind the government that it is they who put them in those seats of power, and therefore they cannot indefinitely ignore them. Ruchika Tomar is with me from India Gate as well. Ruchika, You've been there for a few hours. Are there any real ideas? You know, there is a sense also that a lot of anger is not a good thing if it doesn't lead to something concrete. Are you hearing real ideas from people about what needs to be done? I mean, we've heard stuff about...
A lot of ideas to say the least, but without wasting any time, Shiv, I'd like to go across to Ms. Purnima Advani, former NCW chairperson. She's joining us here. She has reached India Gate on her own. What brings you here, ma'am? You've seen several cases. You've seen incidents of atrocities on women. Have you seen a movement like this?
Ruchika, I've seen several cases, and it is each one of those several cases that has ultimately culminated into a movement that we are all taking part in today at the India Gate. This is a historic movement, but it is a movement where the citizens are now telling the persons in positions of power, we are not going to rest. Enough is enough. There has been enough lip service. There have been enough lyrics on women's issues. Now we mean business, and please come and ensure that all organs of the state, whether it is the legislature, the executive, the judiciary, all have to rise to women's causes. It is extremely important that gender-related issues must be fast-tracked in the courts. It is extremely important that investigation must be done perfectly so that there are no gaps. When investigations are done, there are gaps and gaps and gaps. When the matter goes to court, we are all judged by the Roman jurisprudence, which says that let 100 guilty escape, but one innocent should not go to the gallows. Right. And therefore, we have such poor acquittals, and therefore, the fear of law no longer exists.
But there are also, of course, charges against organizations that you've headed, like the NCW, that they have been highly ineffective in checking cases like these. I'll, of course, come back to you on that one. For the moment, I'm handing it over to you, Shiv.
Thanks, Ruchika, for getting us that sense from Purnima Advani. She has definitely seen a lot of cases like this, but I doubt if she's seen the kind of anger, spontaneous outpouring on the streets of the most protected parts of the national capital.